Better to have a short life that is full of what you like doing than a long life spent in a miserable way.
Welcome to Footwork.
You can call them failures. I think failure has a negative stigma to it, because in the end, I mean, you were just available. You were there. You were working every day when nothing was, given, or nothing was promised at all. I mean, how did you deal with the rejection from the two clubs? Did it inspire you to try harder? Was it hard to deal with at first? Can you tell us about that a little bit?
Yeah, I think the Chicago one hurt a lot because it was really the first major rejection, like for my, I mean, I guess not major. I was also let go from the team in Colombia, but this one really, that like it really hurt because I think I had built up in my head so much that like I was ready for that year and I was ready for that opportunity. So that did hurt. But I think at the same time, like I think as you go through your journey and you play with so many different players and you play in different environments, you see that sometimes like the difference is so small, like between players almost, and like things could go so many different ways that for me it was like, this is just my journey. This isn't a reflection of like my value or my complete ability. It's like, but this is my story, and that's okay. And as long as like I just stay the course, and as long as I'm still doing the work and I'm enjoying this process, then I'm going to continue on it and see where it takes me. So I think that was, I didn't get there right away, but after, probably like a month, I started realizing that, and that there was a way forward for me. And I think a lot of people have said too, like, wow, like if that would have happened to me, like I would have just been like done at that point, like it would have been the end. But like I said, for me, it wasn't ever about just like the destination. And for me, it was about the process of what I was what I was becoming throughout it. So for me, that was allowed me to kind of just keep going and seeing where it would take me. And then every, once in a while I would get that next little thing. So even just getting to go to the rain, I was like, that was amazing. That was awesome. And then it led me to getting on with the agent who then got me to go to Finland. And so I think it just was kind of, keeping my sights on what was important, and just trusting that whatever was supposed to happen, it would.
Yeah. Now this is, I mean, now you're going to Finland. So this is now your fourth country, including the US. I mean, it seems a lot of the time you're picking up and going after one season, sometimes even less. I mean, was that difficult for you? Because you establish these relationships with teammates, with coaches. You kind of get used to styles of play a little bit, and you start to feel like a little bit comfortable in a situation to the fact where you can now better yourself. Was it tough to just pick up and leave after, not seeing, more than 1 year or one season? And how are you able to improve on that each time that you did pick up and leave to go to a new country?
Yeah, I think it is tough, for sure, because you come, or at least, starting on the professional journey, you come from college where I was for 4 years. I was able to be captain for 2 of those years. You build that culture, and you know how things are, and then I'm leading it, and then to go, and that has always been a big part of what I feel like I bring as a player, is being a leader out on the field. So when you go to another country where you don't speak the same language, and you're in a completely new group of players that maybe already has a leader here or a leader there, like you kind of have to figure out, well, where do I fit into that, and how do I, still bring some of that. And so I think always picking up and going somewhere new is tough, because you do have to, there's a learning curve. You have to learn the style of play. You have to learn the players around you. How do they play? How do they like to play? How can you work off of that and be efficient in that way? How do you learn the language and be able to communicate efficiently? So definitely is tough a little bit, and playing with different ages of players too. Like in Finland, we had a lot of young players as well. So you have to kind of work with that as well is always difficult. I think when you go overseas, that tends to be the case, like in Sweden and Finland, even in Colombia, like they have local players maybe that like are younger and that are also on the team. And so, whereas that wasn't really the case in the US, like in the NWSL. So that's another challenge too, to like bring the level up all the time. But I think for me, the transition part never is hard. It's just like, how quickly can you get into that and then find your own rhythm in it?
Right. The adaptability of it is so important. And where exactly were you in Finland?
I lived on an island. It's called Åland, and it's an island in between Finland and Sweden. And they speak Swedish on the island, but it's technically a part of Finland. Yeah, it was interesting. We played our home games there on the island, but obviously our away games were on the mainland of Finland. So we would play our games like Saturdays at 2 p.m. We would get on a ferry boat on Friday night at like 10 p.m. and we would sleep in cabins on the ferry boat with like 2 bunk beds, in this tiny little like cabin.
Oh my God.
We would sleep overnight on the ferry boat, and we would arrive to Helsinki at like 8 or 9 a.m. in the morning. We'd eat breakfast on the ferry boat. We'd get off, we'd get on a bus, and we'd drive the rest of the way to the game when we play the game.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's unreal.
I know. When I first got there, I was like, we're gonna do what? And
so how many hours of sleep are you getting on these little?
Not a lot.
How long is the trip? How long is the ferry?
I mean, we would leave at 11 and get there at 8.
Oh my
So,
God.
Wow.
Yeah, 9 hours.
Did you know this before you left?
So I actually did, because one of my roommates from college, actually, she played for that club.
Oh wow.
For 2 years or something before I was there. So she told me all about it, and I was like, how is that? Like, are you able to sleep? She's like, you get used to it.
Get used to it.
Nice way of saying no.
Yeah, the first few games I was struggling. Actually, the first game I had gotten off of the plane like that day, and then we got on the ferry that night. So like that first game, I was just, and I played like the whole game. So